Hello, people. I'm just adjusting the screen. Yes, that is my Union Jack up there. See it? I'll get an American flag. I'll probably put it right there. For a moment, it ain't there. I gotta find one that's small enough. I'm trying to adjust all this. Yes, that is Van Gogh painting. For the rods and ends. Anyway, onto the fun stuff, people. I'm discovering that I buy a lot of books, so it gives me reasons to talk. Which, by the way, I approve of. It's good motivation to do a video more than once a week. Anyway, it's nice and sunny outside. It's, I'm not sure what the temperature is. It's gotta be in the 50s. Very sunny, very nice, very bright. Very, very, very wonderful. I think winter is gone. Spring is here, but in Minnesota, it has been known to snow in April. And it is April 3rd. So, April 3rd. All right, on to the books. Anyway, I like this guy. I like his writing. I like this is Brush Limbaugh's brother. Hello, David. Wow, kidding me. Jesus is risen to Paul in the early church. It's basically a synopsis of, basically the book of Acts. I like his writing. I've read his... Which one did I read? I know I read one of his already. I think it was the second one. Emmaus Code. That's the one I read. But anyway, I like his books. People, I have nothing against Christianity. I have nothing against Jesus, even though that's not his real name. It's Yeshua. Joshua in English. I have problems with the church and the way it's going and the mess it's making of itself and so on and so forth. But I don't have a problem with Christianity. At the moment in my life, I consider myself a philosophical Christian. Whether you're going to like that term or not, that's where I am right now. But I do like this book. I do like him as a writer. I like what he writes. He's very good. He's very clear and concise. I do enjoy him, and I have tons of books to get through because pretty much you give me money, and that is what I will buy. So I know I do pay my bills. I just, I like books. Probably a little too much, but, as society slowly descends into the anarchy of burning books and not reading them and pretty much banning books that they might offend them, I prefer to save them before people destroy them. But anyway, he's a good author. I like his books. I just got done ordering his other 3, only because I used to have them, and then things happen. But yes, he is a good author. I like him. Hopefully, it's his history, so I'm going to read it anyway. I just got that because I like short stories. I write short stories, people. I don't write novels. I'm writing a novel. I have one almost done. I just have to do the last chapter, which I'm working on. I've been working on it for a year now. It's kind of a modern version of Pilgrim's Progress, but it used to be a short story. Originally, it was a short story. But I like short stories. I always collect as many of these collection of short stories as I can because I do like short stories. I find them a little more of a challenge. I got one of his. This is one of his books in the sun again. Good grief! I really don't want to close the window. It's too sunny to close the window. There we go. That might be a little better. Still not better. This is getting ridiculous. I like the sun. I like to see the sun. Thank you very much. But we'll open it when I'm done. So can't see it. Okay. Anyways, Roald Dahl's Tales of Youth and Guile, collection of his short stories. I don't know. I like his short stories. I've said that before. I've got that today. So, but I like his writing. I like his stories better. His short stories better. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've read a novel. I read one of his longer stories, like James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so on and so forth. But I got that because of short stories. I got that because it's Aliens, Alan Dean Foster. I haven't read this book in a long time. In fact, I probably read it when it first came out. So, excellent movie, though. One of the few great sci-fi movies. Just another book to read, another novel to read at work. A lot of this stuff I buy for work, most of the small novels. Never Cry Wolf, excellent book on nature. The movie was good too with Charles Martin Smith. I think that was who it is, Charles Martin Smith. Excuse me. Sorry, Mom, I belched. Try not to count too many times, Mom. I know. My mother says I have a tendency to, yeah. But anyway. And yes, it wasn't my mother who decided on the tie thing. I'm not going to wear a tie. I might, but not going to happen. Good book. I like his stuff. I like the Siberian leopard. No, the snow leopard? It's been so long. Anyway, this is a good book. It's just a fun little read. Wolves, and I love wolves. Wolves are my favorite animal. This book I used to have a long time ago, and I was surprised I found it in half-price bookstore, The Malmedy Massacre, during World War II. And a good book, little book. It reminded me to show this book. I had this book for a while now. This is not a new book, but I've had this for a few years. See, I don't know if you can read that. Can you? The sun is playing havoc. I'm trying to get this so people can see it. So it might be interesting. The forgotten story of Black American soldiers brutally massacred in World War II, The Lost 11. I haven't read this book yet, so I'm pretty sure it's probably good. Anything about history is good. I like history, as you all know. But it looks like a good book. But The Malmedy Massacre, it's a short little book. You know, you've seen the movie The Battle of the Bulge with Robert Shaw and Henry Fonda, Charles Bronson, and a whole bunch of other people. This is what that's about. But there's a lot of books to go through, people. This is the Penguin History of England, the Stuart England part. The Stuarts were interesting. Charles 1, 2, and three. Yeah, there was a 3. No, I think we're trying to avoid a Charles 3 because the first 2 were a royal mess. But you know, I like history. So, Alec Guinness and Cromwell. In that movie, Cromwell, he plays Charles the First. He did a pretty good job, actually. I mean, it's not historically very accurate film, but he does a good job as Charles the First. But once again, Stuarts of England, history, English history, marvelous. I am half English after all. My mother is English, yeah, as you can see, because the Union Jack is over there. There's also one on the wall over there, too. Bigger one. History of France, Volume 1, 1715 to 1799. Yes, I make a lot of jokes about the French. Mostly at their expense during World War II, but really isn't really deserved because their government capitulated, not the French. The French citizen did not appreciate the government surrendering to the Germans. But I barely remember. Let's see. I don't remember if I've read any of these others. There's 2 other volumes. There's volume number 2, History of Modern France, Volume 2, 1799 to 1871. History of Modern France, Volume 3, 1871 to 1962. A year before I was born. But yes, French history is actually interesting. I mean, Napoleon is interesting. You know, Louis the Sun King is interesting. Most history is interesting, people. It's a shame it's not being taught anymore. No. We've got to turn history into propaganda pieces and not teach history as the story of people. Good, the bad, and the ugly of them. I've always enjoyed history since the day I was in Mr. Cyrus's class in high school, Valencia High School, California, my freshman year of high school. Ever since that marvelous teacher introduced me to history. I have been hooked. And as you can tell by all the books in here, if I were to show you, I have a serious addiction to books and history books. I need help? Not really. But there is some interesting history of France. I mean, yes, I make fun of them, particularly in English, particularly when I mention Agincourt, Cressy, and any other battle that we, the British, beat them at. But if it were not for the French, there would be no United States of America. We have to give them some credit, reluctantly, but give them some credit. Reluctantly. Hellenistic civilization. I mostly bought this because I wanted to study up on the Greek influence of the Jewish people during the books of Malachi and Matthew. Because those 300 or something odd years are just there's nothing. It is a fascinating influence that Hellenistic culture had on Jews and on their thinking. And a lot of, I mean, the Apostle Paul, as much as he was a Pharisee, probably studied a little bit of Hellenism, probably studied those things, or else he wouldn't have been able to mention them in his message on Mars Hill. You read that, he's mentioning Greek writers and Christian writers and Plato. Okay, this would imply the man has read these books. I mean, an Hellenistic civilization is interesting. Alexander the Great said, you know what? I'm going to give you Hellenistic civilization, whether you like it or not. He was an interesting guy. But another good book. I have not to read, so I'm telling you it's a good book anyway, because I said so. On to the next one. Now, I have no idea whether this is any good or not, but it says Egypt, it's history, it's ancient. It's an old book. I bought it. It was $2. And it smells old. Fabulously old. But, I told you, I will buy anything. History is history, people. And the way history is not taught in the modern world right now, well, it's not. It's not being taught. What's being taught is political correctness, wokeness, PCness, SJW nonsense, BLM nonsense. Teach history. Teach both sides. People learn that way. You can't change the past. I can't change the past, and neither can they. They're whining about something they cannot change. They're condemning people who were not there. History is fascinating because it's the story of people. As much as people get on my nerves, and they do, as much as human behavior drives me crazy, and it does, history is fascinating. It's a story of just average people, above average people, lives, moments. It isn't all just dates and places and names. There are stories behind those things. This is why I like history. I like delving into finding out why this is so fascinating and why this is so fascinating and everything else I can pick up. That's why this matters. Because this does matter. This did happen. This is history. It's fascinating. It's a shame, unfortunately, it's not being taught. What's being taught is bullcrap. Sorry. It's bullcrap. It's not history. It's not... It's bullcrap. Prehistoric Creed. I had this book once, and I found it again. But it's history. Looks like it might be good. It's probably more of an archaeology book than it is a history book, but you can't separate archaeology from history. Another book that smells wonderful because it's old. How old is this book? Well, it says it was before I was born, so that was 58 years ago. This I bought because I figured I need an Atlas of World Atlas, and it's a small one, and for reference material and stuff. So it's just a little Atlas book. On to Jeff Shera. I haven't read this yet, but I will. I like his books. This is about the D-Day landings, novelization about the D-Day landings. This is I think, his second part of his trilogy in the World War II series, at least in the European theater. So I don't know if it's any good or not, but I do like his books. I like his historical novels. I like how he writes them. So we'll see. Interesting guy. Actually, more interesting than actually things he wrote. I actually do like his Dorian Gray novel, and I do like his Salome play. The only play of his I like is Salome. I wrote my own version of a play of Salome. I might one day post it on my blog site. But I wrote my own play version of Salome. I do like his novel Dorian Gray. I do think that's pretty good. He was an interesting guy. Yeah, he was an interesting guy. No, I keep saying that because he was. In this case, this is someone who's more interesting than what he wrote. It's true. I mean, some writers are just more interesting than the work they do. It's almost as if their greatest story is their own lives, and they almost fail to put it into print, but not quite. But I like this author too. I think he did another book on James Joyce, which is also pretty good. My tea is getting cold. We're not even halfway done yet, people. Another book on the American Revolution, The Fusiliers, The Saga of the British Redcoat Regiment and the American Revolution by Mark Irvin. I like studying the books about the British side of the war. I mean, I have Joseph Plum Martin's autobiography over there on my shelf. That's an American Patriot. Anyway, but that's a good book too. I read that 20 odd years ago. This book I only bought, I think, a few months ago. But before I started doing this YouTube channel, I would have shown it already. But it looks pretty good. I mean, it's the British part of the war. I have a few books that I have put about that. I just didn't bring it over here. I also ordered one, which will get here hopefully next week. This is a good book. Excellent book. Battle of New Orleans. Thomas Jackson. Wrong war. Definitely a wrong person. Might be the same attitude. Andrew Jackson. The Battle of New Orleans. He would have put the Battle of New Orleans even if he knew the war was over. He fought this war after the war was declared over. He didn't care. Well, look, the British. I don't like the British. I'm Andrew Jackson. Kill them. Kill them all. I do, but this is a good book. This is a very excellent book about a very stubborn, self-willed pain in the ass of a man. But brilliant general, questionable president, but a brilliant general. A lot of what he did is highly questionable and highly suspect of various reasons. I'm being nice at the moment, but yes, he didn't like the British, and he might have disliked the Native Americans even more. He had an attitude that basically, sorry, kill them all, or make them leave. I mean, he's a complex man. He was a flawed man. He was interesting. I find him interesting. I don't think I would get along with him very well, but anyway, I like this book. I like this author. I have written to this author. He's written me back. This was a long time ago. I think I was complimenting him on his book. And he wrote me back, thank you. So, but that is a good book. Excellent book. He's a good writer. I got this today. I've been looking for this book for a while now about Abraham Lincoln. I read this book, I think, once, long time ago. I believe I read most of it. I don't remember. Some of these books I think I've read. I just don't remember if I read, if that makes any sense. But With Malice Toward None, The Life of Abraham Lincoln. But yes, hopefully an excellent book, excellent human being, an interesting president. I got all of this also today. So I had to replace the copy I lost somewhere along the way. Personal Memoirs of U.S. Grant. He failed at everything except the military. He was a brilliant general. Couldn't run a business to save his life. Except when he wrote his memoirs, which saved his wife's financial future. But as a president, Depends on who you ask. He wasn't a complete failure, but he was a very interesting guy, very interesting general. Made a lot of mistakes, did a lot of things right. But I had to get a different copy because I don't know where the copy is. It's probably lost in the third library somewhere. But I bought this today at the Half Price bookstore, which by now they should know me by my name. And they probably do. This came in the mail for my next Bible study with the Tuesday night group. I got a different copy last week, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the cover, and I didn't like how it was presented. So I had to reorder this. So I had to reorder it. But, this is interesting. It's an interesting story. It's the starting of Israel, the starting of the Jews, starting of creation, the starting of everything. But it's so hopefully, at some point, I'll be doing a Genesis Bible study after I'm done with Mark, I suppose. I bought this only because it says collected stories. I know nothing about Frank O'Connor. I only know him by name. I have never read any of his stories. But I like short stories, people. It's how I learn. I like writing short stories. Therefore, I read them. So shoot me. But, yes. I actually, the funny thing is, I thought I said Flannery O'Connor instead of Frank O'Connor, and I wasn't thinking. So I bought this and that. I should tell you how badly my glasses need to be replaced, because Flannery and Frank, almost similar. No, I have read Flannery O'Connor, but I will read those. I might let you know if I like them or not. Hey, Mom! Another math book, Mom. Another math book. Woo! Actually, I read this book when I first arrived in Minnesota in 1992. I found it in the used bookstore. It kind of set me back on the reading of math history. There's a lot of math history in this book. It is a cool book. I've had 3 different copies of this because it keeps disappearing on me. One library after, I think every library has had this book except the very first one. The very first library probably had under 500 books. So the chances of it having this was slim because I wasn't really into math on the first library. The second library, yes. The third library, most definitely. This library, number 4, it ain't going anywhere. Excellent book on history. Excellent book on math. It's kind of fun to read. Don't take it too seriously. And the book that my short story is in, yes, self-promotion, people. Self-promotion. Buy the book. Buy the book. Buy the book. My story's in here. Buy the book. Buy. Also, the proceeds go to supporting a worthy cause. So. But yes, my short story's in here. Published finally for the first time. Buy the book, people. This is the book I told you about last time I did this, about the devil whipping the Battle of Cowpens, which is that battle at the end of the Patriots, kinda, sorta, because Tarleton does not get killed at the Battle of Cowpens. Unlike in the movie where he gets killed, he lives until about 1830s, I think. Going by memory. Another American Revolutionary book. I've skimmed through it. It's not too bad. I mean, I know I've been getting a lot of Revolutionary War books lately. Probably because April 19th is coming up pretty soon, and I just felt the urge to buy a lot of Revolutionary. I still have a whole bunch of Revolutionary books coming via Amazon and thrift books. Still got Nathaniel Green to get here, Henry Knox to get here, 1 or 2 other books on the British side of the war to get here. My Benedict Arnold book needs to get here. Did I get anything else of the other thrift books? I don't remember. But it gets here, it gets here. Lou Gehrig, probably my favorite Yankee, even though I am a Dodger fan. Probably because I was watching Gary Cooper's Pride of the Yankees as a kid. And I liked that movie. That movie was one of my favorite movies as a kid for baseball movies. Was Pride of the Yankees. I always liked him. I liked him and I liked him as Gary Cooper. But yes, I did like him. He became my favorite Yankee. And I love that movie. So. I had other books on the Yankees, but once again, that's a library that no longer exists, and I have to rebuild this library. Ooh, the tragedy. I gotta buy books. Oh, terrible. I know, people. I know I should be saving money, but why? Anyway, this book, the church should be reading to get it through their thick skulls so there is one race. And once the church started talking about different races, it screwed up. It blew it. Okay? We're all one race. It does irritate me, people. I'm sorry. It does irritate me. When the church started going along with evolutionary theory, which, by the way, that's where the idea of race came from. Not the Bible. It came from evolution. We're all one race, people. This skin tone, we're all the same color, just a different shade of one tone. Adam and Eve were not white, and they were not black. They were in the middle. I think it'd be funny though if they were actually, one was white, one was black. I don't think that would work genetically though. Or a redhead. Maybe Eve was a redhead. I know that Lilith was supposedly a redhead. The supposed first wife of Adam. Read the mythology, people. It's fascinating. But yes, read this book. The church needs to go back to foundational material called the Bible. I know. I'm going on a tangent. Read this book, people. May not like Ken Ham, but Ken Ham is not wrong. I've actually seen Ken Ham live, by the way, when I was here. It was at Grace Church in Roseville. I believe he came. Anyway, this book, another Ken Ham book. This explains why the church is in the mess it's in. It's called, it no longer really believes the Bible is what it claims to be. I'm sorry. When you put the footnotes ahead of what God says, what the Bible says, you're going to get the mess you're getting right now. I mean, I'm sorry. This is why I don't go to church, people, because I keep experiencing this, getting this. It's frustrating. I'm trying not to get too frustrated. I try to differentiate between the real church and the modern equivalent of whatever you want to call it, because I'm sorry. It's a mess. And the church needs to get its head out of its ass, get its head out of its rear end, out of the sand, wherever it happens to be. Sorry, the blinds decided to fall down. It's windy outside, part of the way. Keeping my thing going up. It's not my tirade. God's trying to tell me something. It's very possible. No, that should be there now. But anyway, this is why the church is in the mess it's in. You literally have made the foundation of the church on the same par as everybody else's theory of origins, and you politicized it. Breathe in, breathe out. Go on to a different book. Before I say something else I might regret, or not regret. Probably not regret. I don't regret a whole lot anymore. We'll go on to Pat Benatar. Actually, I've never read this book. I just thought it'd be interesting. She was one of those early rockers, I guess still rocker now, who I kind of liked her music. But, you know, I haven't read it. I know Pony has. Hopefully it'll be good. It's Pat Benatar, people. How can it not be interesting? Because I know I've gone real fast in another subject. I know. I don't want to lose it because I know I will. And right now this video really isn't for launching into the fact that the church is destroying itself with a smile. Anyway, this author, I like his stuff. He's done a novel on Paul. He's done a novel on Pontius Pilate, which I enjoy. He's another author I've written to and have written off and on back and forth a while back. I haven't done it in a long time, but Skeleton in God's Closet. Excellent book. There's a sequel. The sequel's not too bad. The original, the first book, this one is far better. Belts number 2, Mother. I've only done it twice. But anyway, this book is good. Excellent book. If you've read Irving Wallace's The Word, it's kind of kind of loosely a retelling of that story, but this is far better and shorter. The Word is a long book, about the size of War and Peace. They made a movie about it, I think in the 80s, 70s. I think that was. Okay, on to my Civil War books. Battle of the Wilderness. Grant and Lee really went at each other. This is the first. There's 2 other books. I haven't found them yet, but 2 other books in this series. But excellent books I've heard. I haven't read it yet, so. Excellent book. Very good book I've heard. It's the Civil War, people. How can it be bad? The other book of the same series. Books are about to fall over. I have way too much stuff over here, people. I have way too much stuff. I have way too much. No, what are you gonna do? If you're not used to my ways yet, people, you're never gonna get used to it. But that was fun. Anyway, there's the other book. So the sun's out of the way. If you can't read it, if you can't see it, just let me know. The battles for Spotsylvania Courthouse and the road to Yellow Tavern, which is where Jeb Stuart was killed. Yeah, he was an interesting fellow, that Jeb Stuart. Anyway, excellent book. Excellent book. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Now, I used to read this guy. I know he's an evolutionist and he's dead, but I used to read a lot of his books in Florida. He was a good writer. He was wrong. He was obsessed with the Bible, and for someone who didn't believe in it, he seemed to write a lot about it. But anyway, I saw this book for $3, and I think, oh man, people are trying to get some more of his books again. He's an okay author. He's a little outdated, but you know, I don't mind. Brings back memories when I used to read all this stuff when I was studying creation and evolution and stuff, which is partly why I would read it. You know, he's the evolutionist side, and I would read Henry Morris and Ken Ham and a few other on the creation side. But he is a good writer. He was a good writer. He's dead now. I think he now knows he might have been wrong. He believed in punctual equilibrium, which means, I think, if I remember correctly, sudden advances in evolution. Like 1 minute you have no legs, next minute you have them. It's like, okay. I think that's what it is. Don't hold me to that one. I'm going by memory. Which, you know, I am 58 years old. I have a good memory, but not that good. The Korean War. Oddly enough, I don't have a lot of books on the Korean War. I used to, of course. But this one, and there's another one, I forget who the author is, but this is a good book. The Korean War, an oral history. I've heard it's a good book because I said so. But when I was working at Red Roof Inn in Woodbury, my friend Kyung, who was Korean, gave me not this version, but the other version that I'm trying to find, called The Korean War, and I forget who the author is, but she gave me that book. But Korean history is interesting. It wasn't just the war. The Koreans, they have and had an interesting history, and it just wasn't the war. And my last Revolutionary War book for the moment, he's a good author. He's a very good author. The British Are Coming, The War for America, Lexington to Princeton, 1775 to 1777. Volume 1 of the Revolution Trilogy. These other books I've read are, it's the War in Europe books. An Army at Dawn, A Day of Battle, Guns at Last Light. I've read the first 2 that I mentioned. They're pretty good. One's the Operation Husky, the invasion of North Africa, and the other one is the Italian campaign where Patton apparently decided to slap somebody. Yeah. That's a great movie, by the way. And this I just got because it helped with my Bible study and stuff. It's not bad, but it's something, I don't know what it is. It's not detailed enough for me. But it's still not a bad little book. It's still a little book. It's not a bad book. It's a good research book. It works. And now to put my Tower of Babel back there. I had a tower back here, people. That's what it was. I had a tower. But as you can tell, I bought a lot of books and ordered a lot of books, and I have serious issues about books. I have serious. So don't even attempt it, people. I mean, to me, we are living in an age where books are literally being somebody might not like, or it might offend their precious little feelings. Sorry, people, but history happened. People did stupid, horrific things to other people. They're dead. They have moved on. I guarantee you, they have paid for whatever it is you think they did. I hope this tower doesn't fall over. I should show you the tower, people. I really should. If you want organization, people, as I keep saying, you're asking for the wrong guy. Because organized, I am not. Well, I am kind of organized, but not enough to make some of you people happy, because I'm pretty sure I'll hear somebody complain about something I'm doing. But, yeah, I have a lot of books. I collect too many. I know that. But I feel like I'm living in a day and age where books are being hunted down because they might say something. They might offend somebody. They might be a problem. Oh, my precious feelings are hurt because of words. And don't read the words. Move on. Write your own book. Leave mine alone. But yeah, those are the books I've ordered the last video and I did on the subject. Yes, I know. That's number 3. I'm belching. I know. My mother will tell me that I did a lot, but sorry. Root beer, tea, and hot chocolate don't mix. Not well, anyway. I'm not sure. There's something else I was gonna mention, but maybe I'll do a video later and I'll mention it then. Well, I will post this. My head is just. Well, people, you behave yourselves, because you know I won't. Later, and happy Passover. I'm sorry, people. I don't do Easter. It's made up. It's Passover. It's not Easter. It's Passover.